Ourselves, first of all.
Yeah, good idea.
I'm Melinda.
And I'm Jacqueline.
I'm Allison.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Erica.
I'm Anna.
Okay.
Okay, hi.
All right, I'm just gonna pick a random person to start. So how about Allison? You start.
Oh, with my story?
Yeah.
Okay, so my story was when I was 15. I came home from hanging out with a friend to my mom like bawling in my driveway. And she said that I had an emergency appointment at the cancer hospital. And so then we drove right up to the cancer hospital and they took biopsies, and for a month straight we had to drive up there and they had to do like research and do all this stuff, and it found out that I had like a tumor like this big. It was closing off my esophagus and pushing on my heart and my spine. And then I had to, well, hi Anna.
I fixed it.
Then I had and they had to do like incisions all the way from like my shoulder to down to my ribs, and they had to like pull apart my ribs and remove the tumor, and it ended up being like a 10 to 15 hour surgery. And then I had to have a chest tube placed, and I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks and felt like my ribs were broken. And it was just very...
Joe, Geesje, ben je er?
Oh, got one more.
Ja.
And...
Hi, ik zie je.
Hi.
Hello. It was very, I guess, a good experience. It was very scary at first, thinking it ended up being not cancerous. And it was just a very scary experience for my family. They didn't know what was going on, and I had to spend a lot of time there, but it ended up being just life-changing because I got to be in this room that like changed colors. I could turn it into rainforest. Like there was only 2 in this whole hospital, and I got to see all these other kids that were living in the hospital, no parents, like they were just sick and they were dying. And I just, at that moment, I really realized I took my life for granted. And it was just, yeah, it's a good experience. I found the positive out of it, not the negative. So that's my story.
Wow.
Oh.
Mel?
Thanks for sharing. Well, my story it has nothing to do with medical. It's about my parents' divorce when I was 5 years old. So my parents separated when I was 5 years old. I have an older brother, so we were kind of going through that together. They actually stayed together. They didn't divorce. They separated when I was 5 years old, and then they ended up divorcing a little bit after that. And then I kind of like fast forwarded my story to my mom moving to California, which was my crisis. So she moved to California when I was 11, and you're like in your teen years where you're first starting out like middle school and all that stuff. So I felt like yeah, so I was without a mom for a while. My dad raised me on his own, and then I kind of like combined 3 different crises in my story. Then I jumped to me moving to California my freshman year of high school, and I mean, I talked about details of that, but I didn't have like any details like yours, Allison. It kind of just jumped around and talked about like my story from 5 years old to 15 years old and how much my life changed throughout those years. Anyone else?
Okay, I can go next. So I also talked about my parents' divorce. I started talking about how I was kind of in the middle of their breakup fight, just playing on the floor, and They were yelling above me, and I didn't really know what was going on. And so after that, my dad left. And so shortly after that, my mom met a guy, and his family lived in South Carolina. So they decided that we were going to move to South Carolina from Minnesota. And I was only in kindergarten at the time, so then we moved down there. And let's see. I talked about like how I'd get angry about like not really being in contact with my dad because we kept it up for maybe like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And then he just suddenly stopped contacting me. And like when it came around Father's Day, I didn't have contact with him. And
Who's next?
Go on.
okay. So let's see. I had a brother too. And the thing is, my mom kind of had a rocky relationship with this guy. At first, they'd fight a lot. So me and my brother would get scared oftentimes. And when they would be arguing, we'd kind of go into each other's rooms and try to comfort one another. And then my mom has a drinking problem. She still has kind of a drinking problem. I don't know if it kind of fluctuates, whether it's bad at some points and then not. But a lot of the time she would drink a lot, and I would be the only one to like comfort her. And she'd have those conversations with me like, oh, if I die tonight, then it was just, you know, something that a kid shouldn't really be hearing. And then we also lived in poverty for a little while, so much so that my brother and I had to go live with my dad for 1 year. And this was when we were still visiting each other. And so we went to go live with him. And later I kind of found out like everything about my parents' divorce, like why they divorced. And, you know, since I didn't have contact with my dad, my mom was like my primary caregiver. And she told me it was because my dad had a temper and because he gambled. And it was in high school that I actually found out it was because my mom cheated on my dad. And he also told me, yeah, so she had been cheating. And it was because, like, he had this temper and he had this gambling problem, and my mom didn't really see a way around it. So I see both sides of the story that way. And then there's something else I was going to add. There was also a time in my childhood where my mom had been doing drugs. So like this was kind of like around the time where I had to go live with my dad. And my dad told me it was like the worst he had ever seen my mom, like skinny and just horrible. And I think she's gotten over that now. I haven't really ever asked her about it, but that's kind of my whole crisis. Everything panned out. My parents stopped fighting. My mom and her boyfriend, they stopped fighting. They're still together. And everything's settled. I started talking to my dad again, and yeah. So.
Does someone from the Netherlands want to go?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't
Hey,
know all
Amy,
the English
zie je.
words. I would really like to react on your story.
Oh, nu niet meer hoor.
It's yeah, stories. Yeah, it must be a rough stories.
mij horen?
Rough time in your lives. So yeah, I'm sorry for you. I can tell my story.
Hoor niks.
My story is about my father. He got depression. He had a job he didn't like, and he took on for way too long. He because he was scared of quitting his job and afraid for the future of getting a new job. He hung into his old job, and so he also got in a bad mood, and he was always cranky at home, and this had a big influence on our family at home. So when he was at home, me and my sisters, we went a lot out of the house. We went to friends or upstairs to our own room. But because my father, he also didn't want to speak about it. He didn't want to talk. and we told him very often he needed help for it, but he didn't want it. So for years, the mood in our home wasn't very great, and it took on for many years. But after a long time, he finally took initiative, and he got a new job. And from then on, things went better, and he went an older person, a much more lovely, happy person. So a new job can do a lot of things, and when one of the family members, especially one of the parents, has something, maybe it's small or big, it can have a big influence on the family.
Mhm.
So who's next?
Erica?
All right. Well, mine is also my parents' divorce. I guess lots of marriages end up in divorce on this group. So when I was like in first grade, my mom filed for divorce from my biological father, and thank you.
Yeah.
So they started the whole divorce when I was in first grade, and it was really nasty. It took them years and years before the divorce was final, and they had like custody fights over me and my sister the whole time. And I think the divorce was finalized when I was 7, and my mom got remarried to my stepdad, and he's great. But then they were still having the custody fights over me and my sister. So then that was going on for the longest time until we were like probably 12 years old or so. And then the reason my parents were getting divorced was because my biological dad had like the worst temper. He was really abusive to my mom, and he did drugs. And my mom, when my biological dad got a new girlfriend, he told my mom that she was going to be our new mother, and we were going to start calling her mom and everything. So my mom got really upset about that, and she actually tried to commit suicide. So then when she was in the hospital, he actually called her and told her to like finish the job because she didn't end up dying. So then she got the restraining order, and that was pretty much the last straw. That's why the judge allowed them to get divorced. So then, but then we still had to go visit him, me and my sister. So, but then once we got older, we just started realizing how much of a terrible person he was, and we just stopped visiting him. And my sister and I, we had to go through a lot of therapy to get over all this stuff. But I'm really glad that we went because it helped a lot. So yeah, that's kind of what I wrote about. That was our family crisis.
Nee,
Someone else from the Netherlands want to go?
Amy, Daphne, Geesje?
I'll go.
mijne doet het niet goed, jongen. Sorry.
We horen en zien je wel. And talk English, please.
Bitte.
Amy?
Yeah, yes, put me on.
Amy, if you just start talking, it will go to your video for all of us.
Okay. I wrote a story about my brother. When he was 17 years old, he started using drugs, and then he went mentally went really ill. He got really ill, really aggressive, and at home it was really hard for us to live with him because he kept on stealing money and jewelry to pay for his drugs, and then he had a lot of drug dealers he had to pay. So eventually my parents couldn't deal with it anymore. And then, zien jullie mij wel? Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Eventually he didn't have any money anymore, so he went onto the streets and robbed a guy. And then he had to go to prison for it. He stayed in prison for a year, and then he wasn't allowed to come home, so he had to go to this special clinic for his mental health, and he's been living there for nearly a year now. And it was very hard for us at home because he was always in need of attention, and he just needed help really, but we didn't really know what to do. But now he lives in a home and is not addicted to drugs anymore and is doing really well. So we're all very happy for him now. And it was just very hard for us to see someone we love so much fall so deep because of the drugs. So that was really our struggle actually. And now he's lived in a home for a year and is going it's getting better, so but he'll never be able to come back home because he just needs that support from special people that we can't give him at home. And well, that's my story.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go next?
I can go next. Mine's about my history with mental illness. About like 2 years ago, I started feeling like really down, and I had a really good childhood. Like I was fortunate. My parents have money. Go to a nice school, so I was really like confused as to why. Like I was feeling just down all the time. So I didn't tell anyone, and I was really ashamed of it, and like mad at myself for feeling sad when there's others who have it much worse. And I kind of went through a cycle where I like hid it from a lot of people, and it got worse and worse and worse. And then eventually I had a friend who like noticed something was up and called my mom. But then I started getting help, and then the cycle started again, and I again chose to not tell anyone. And it resulted in a suicide attempt. And I ended up like being committed for 7 days and then going to a partial hospitalization program for 3 weeks. And like really accepting like the illness was like what I needed, because I still definitely have like depression, but I'm not changed by it as much as I used to be. And now I want to work in nursing with mental health. So it's kind of like worked out to be a good thing, is that I've got my passion for mental health and for people with psychiatric issues from it.
Okay.
But you're still suffering from it, from your mental illness.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely days like I have down days, and but like I think the problem I had the most with it was like I wasn't accepting it. And now that like I accept it, like I've been fine since.
All right. I've got really respect for you dealing with your study and this
Thanks.
program. It must be very heavy. Costs lots of energy when you don't feel.
Mhm. Okay, who's next?
I
Nou,
think we
let's do
lost
it.
Daphne.
Are your connections bad as well? Because I keep on seeing other people every time.
Whenever someone starts to talk, you'll see somebody else.
The screen keeps on going black, and a girl out of our class has dropped out because hers didn't work anymore.
Oh.
Oh.
Her iPad spaced.
Well, maybe you should have her come back because it's working fine on my end, and since I'm the one recording it, I think it'll still be okay.
I'll ask her.
Okay.
Maybe Geesje can tell her story already while we're waiting.
Okay, but I'm not really good at English. Not at all.
That's okay if you feel more comfortable. I know our instructor said that the meetings may be in Dutch and English. So if you feel more comfortable speaking in your language, I think we'd be okay with that. And if someone else can just like translate and give a few like main points and details, I think our end would be okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, Amy?
I'll translate.
Cool. Nou, mijn ouders zijn gescheiden toen ik een jaar oud was.
Her parents divorced when she was a year old.
En mijn vader ging toen aan de alcohol.
Her dad started drinking.
En toen ik 16 was, werd hij ziek.
When she was 16, her dad got ill.
De ziekte van Korsakoff. Ik weet niet hoe dat in het Engels heet.
He got the illness of Korsakoff. Do you know that? From alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Ja? Oké. En toen ben ik uit huis geplaatst. Ja.
And then she got put into a home. She had to leave. En verder?
Nou, niet zoveel.
Iets over je moeder misschien?
Daar heb ik nooit contact mee gehad.
She never had, she never knew her mother. So when her dad got sick, she had to be put into a home. En je woont op jezelf, toch?
Ja, klopt, met mijn vriend, hè.
Vanaf hoe oud?
Hoe oud was ik? Net 18, toch? Ja, net 18.
En wat deed je daarvoor? Wat voor gezin was je toen?
Mijn schoonouders.
Ja, maar daarvoor, toen je 1 jaar oud was, bij wie ging je wonen?
En bij mijn vader. Tot mijn 16e. Toen ben ik uit huis geplaatst. Jeugdzorg. En toen bij Kevin's ouders.
Okay, when her dad got ill, she lived with him till she was 16. Then she got put into like a home for children that don't have any parents. And now she's got a boyfriend for like a million years. And then they moved in together. So now she lives with her boyfriend. So luckily she has someone to fall back on. So she just had a really bad childhood where her dad got ill and her mom never wanted to know her. So really she did have no parents at all. Toch?
Ja. Ja, dat is het wel.
That's her story.
Sorry, can I just ask really quick? What was the experience like in the home, and how long was she there, or how long were you there?
Hoe voelde het toen je zeg maar uit huis werd geplaatst door jeugdzorg?
Ik was wel opgelucht eigenlijk.
She felt relieved.
Ik kan niet zo goed omgaan met mijn vaders ziekte.
She couldn't really deal with her dad's illness, so she felt relieved when she was allowed to leave and taken care by other people. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we just got one more story.
Yes. Oh, she's back in. Daphne.
Dag, praten.
Daphne, can you tell your story? We're waiting on you.
Wie zijn telefoon trilt?
Mine. Daphne. I don't think she can hear us. Her computer's like spacing.
Is someone able to call her and relay the story that way?
I'll try and ask her now.
Daphne, praat.
She says she's talking, but we can't hear her. Or can you hear her?
I call her. Wait a minute. Even zoeken.
Can you guys hear her talking?
No.
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 Is
I'll
her
call.
microphone unmuted at the top?
Yeah. Hi.
Oh.
Sorry.
Can you guys hear her?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oké.
Ja, ze horen jou nou wel, dus ga maar gewoon praten.
Oké, gaat Amy tolken dan?
Ja, schijnbaar.
Oké.
I'll translate for her.
Oké, mijn verhaal. Even kijken, ik begon 7 jaar geleden ongeveer. Toen heb ik mijn vriend leren kennen.
Wel
En-
langzaam praten, hè?
Doe even... Langzaam.
Oké, langzaam.
Wat?
Nou, 7 jaar geleden heb ik mijn vriend leren kennen.
7 years ago, she met her boyfriend.
En hij was toen verslaafd aan wiet.
He was addicted to weed.
En dat wist ik eerst niet. Maar daar kwam ik zo langzamerhand wel achter.
She didn't know about it, but she found out in the end.
En hij wou het eerst niet toegeven en hij herkende het eigenlijk ook niet.
He didn't want to admit to it, but in the end he did.
En toen wou hij daar eigenlijk wel wat aan doen, maar hij wist niet zo goed hoe.
He wanted to do something about it, but he didn't really know what to.
En toen is hij gaan kijken naar wat alternatieven waren om hem te helpen daarbij.
He tried to find something that he could do instead of smoke weed.
En toen is hij naar een afkikkliniek gegaan.
He went to rehab for it.
En daar kreeg hij ambulante begeleiding.
Ja, wat is dat?
Weet ik niet.
Hulp vanuit huis.
When he was in rehab, he got like help from out his home, so he didn't have to go there.
Ja, en dat duurde ongeveer 1,5 jaar.
He did it for about 1.5 years.
En hij heeft wel een paar keer een terugval gehad.
He had some rebounds where he used weed again during that 1.5 years.
Nou, dat was best wel lastig, ook in de relatie.
It was quite difficult for their relationship.
Maar hij is er wel beter uitgekomen en uiteindelijk is hij wel afgekikt en gaat het nu heel goed.
Eventually he stopped doing the weed, and now their relationship is much better, and he still does not use weed.
Nou, dat was het wel, denk ik. Een beetje in het kort.
That was her story.
Kwam ik zo langzaam achter.
Ah, fijn. Ik hoor, ja. Oké.
Oké.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Doei.
So do we need to decide which one we want to pick today?
I think we do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like Allison's.
Yeah, Allison's story is fine with me too.
Nou, dat eerst niet
Or Amy's story. is
geven en haar herkent niet.
And it said we could combine like some of the case studies too. So if we
Oh,
wanted,
yeah.
I like the,
Heel goed
I think
doen.
like divorce is kind of a common theme,
Yeah.
and that would mean too like it's kind of common for other people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people had stories that showed like a lot of
alternatieven waren.
societal
om hem te
differences
helpen
that we can
daarbij.
talk about. Like I know Amy's did, Allison's did, Hannah's did. And I think I'm forgetting a couple, but I know like there was a lot we could go off of, like, you know,
Ja, een
being
afkikkliniek.
Is
hospitalized.
everyone talking together? Because I can't understand anything.
What's going on right now? Because I hear something. I
Nee,
hear,
ambulante begeleiding.
something?
Weet ik niet.
Jongens, ik hoor het gesprek tussen Daphne en Amy nu. Ik weet niet.
I think this whole thing's tripping, guys.
Dat duurde ongeveer 1,5 jaar.
I hear you restating your
Ik heb wel een
story.
paar keer
I
een terugval.
This thing's tripping.
Beetje uiteindelijk. Dat was.
I think we just have to wait.
Doei.
Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What did-
combination.
Anna, what did you mean by combine the case studies?
Yeah.
In the directions it says, students may combine 2 or more case studies to a new single case study.
So case studies are basically our story.
Yay, ik hoor
Ja.
wat.
Yes.
Daphne.
So did we want to combine like all of the divorce stories together? Is that what you're saying?
Well, in my opinion, I think the divorce stories, they don't involve like a lot about society, and our
True.
objective is to like talk about differences between our societies. So I feel like, you know, a lot of people talked about some sort of hospitalization, even like law stuff between our different countries. We could talk about a lot about that, but the divorce, we don't necessarily have a lot to go off of.
True.
Yeah. So I thought another common thing that we talked about was Amy's story about her brother, and then Anna's mental health story. So like
Yeah.
what he was saying, like that goes into like the hospitalization type of things, and how like the differences between
And Erica's mom.
Yeah.
over here in America. And then what else were you saying, Haley? About
Well, I would just said that the main objective was to talk about like the differences between societies. So like the more we have like that we can go off of for that, the better.
Well, also I feel like with divorce we can talk about how the society from our point is different from their point, like how like their background views divorce.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with omitting my story. I don't really want to use it. So
I mean, I didn't really give you guys details about my story too, which I could have done a better job at, but I don't know if I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Like how do we want to what direction do we want to take this in?
You could also take the subject about addiction, because lots of us also have in the story something about an addiction.
True.
Yeah.
Maybe healthcare about addiction is also different between us in the Netherlands and in America, so that may be an option too. I don't know.
Yeah.
okay, so I'll start writing some of this down. I wrote we could talk about healthcare surrounding addiction, some sort of hospitalization, maybe around mental health. And then I know that Amy's brother was in jail, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we could also talk about incarceration
Yeah.
in our countries. Let's see. I just don't know if they want us to like combine them now and decide how we're going to combine it right now.
I don't.
Moesten wij het ook combineren van school dan?
Is it like easy if we all have like a group text or something so we can like chat easier?
It says the
Nee.
first meeting we just have to tell the story, and then we can talk about other things like
Ik zie
school.
je ook niet.
Second meeting, that's when we discuss like how it impacted societal influences and stuff. So that will
Okay,
be our next meeting.
So we can be done for this week then.
Was that about an hour that you recorded, Haley?
It hasn't quite been an hour.
No.
No.
Because I don't know when you.
Technically, we would still have a half an hour, but I don't think the point is to
Yeah.
talk for an hour as long as we got everything done.
Yeah, I think so. Our teachers aren't that strict.
So here's what I'll do. I will send you guys an email about kind of like what we summarized from today. So you can be kind of thinking about these themes for the next time that we meet. And then I'll try and figure out how we're going to access the link to send to our teachers. So I'll try and get that to you I mean, if not today, then I mean, sometime this week. I don't think it's a huge deal that we know right away, unless you guys have a deadline.
No, that's fine. I think we're fine as well if it's this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll try. It'll probably be sooner rather than later, but I'll try and figure it out.
Yeah.
So what is just so we can summarize it and we try to combine the stories, or what's the point in the end now?
So I'll send an email about like the themes that we talked about, you know, like the
Yeah.
hospitalization and, you know, like what we just talked about. And then just kind of be brainstorming about how we might put this together, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah,
do, we
putting
need
it together.
to do do we need to do a video chat again, or is this the only one-time thing?
We'll have to
need to do it again.
Okay.
So while we're on like video chat right now, is there any way we could figure out the next date, like that works for everyone, or do we want to just email about that?
We'll probably have to email. I think right now we don't even know what's going on with our preceptorship, so we can't really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't you have like a group email where everyone replies at the same time or whatever?
Well, how about like I'll try and discuss it with everybody on my end, and then if you guys can have a representative on your end that like I can just consort with, like maybe if I just talk to Jacqueline again.
Yeah.
Because I know I've been doing that, so we can try and talk about it sometime this week.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
guys, thank you a lot.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting
Yes, thank
everyone.
you.
It was nice meeting everyone.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Bye.